Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to Unacademy's YouTube channel. Okay, let me check if the stream is coming up in YouTube or not. After that, we will jump straight into the class. Okay. Let me check if the stream is coming up, everyone. After that, we will jump straight into the class. Okay. Okay, the stream is coming up, everyone. The stream is coming up. Now, in today's class, we are going to study about Parliament. Okay, in today's class, we are going to study about Parliament. Now, this is part 3 of our ongoing parliamentary series, ongoing series, where we study about Parliament in in-depth manner. Okay. Now, in today's class, we will study about various different types of elections for that can be conducted to Parliament of India, and also we will study about disqualification of EMP. So these are the things that we will be studying today. Now, these are some of the most important topics from prelims as well as mains perspective. So please hang on. Now, before moving on to the class itself, let me give you a brief overview about myself as well as about Unacademy. See, my name is Aravind. I have completed my BE Mechanical Engineering in 2014, and I have almost 3 years of experience in teaching UPSC Civil Services. And I have also experienced all stages of UPSC Civil Services, that is prelims, mains, and then interview. Now, my specialization subjects include polity, international relations, and then current affairs. Now, if you wish to know more about the schedule of my classes, when I am about to conduct my classes, or if you want to ask doubts regarding my classes, please join this Telegram group, Unacademy_Aravind. Okay. Now, what will you get by subscribing to Unacademy? Now, by subscribing to Unacademy, first you will get access to daily live classes. In these daily live classes, you can watch your live classes and then you can rewatch your live classes. This rewatchability feature is very, very important because whenever you are preparing for a competitive examination, you will want to rewatch your old classes because you might have some doubts regarding your old classes, or you might have to revise your old classes. Now, but with Unacademy, this rewatchability feature will be given for everyone without any discrimination. But with any other institution, this will not be available. And then, if you have any doubts, there is no need to wait for your turn to ask your doubts. If you have any doubts, you can ask then and there itself. Okay. And then Unacademy conducts live tests as well as quizzes almost on a daily basis. As you all might have come across, when it comes to UPSC preparation, 50% of UPSC preparation is all about preparation and studying, and the rest 50% is all about practice. Okay, you have to practice various examinations. Okay, that practice will come via attending live tests as well as quizzes conducted by Unacademy. And then all courses in Unacademy are structured courses. So the course will properly flow from A to B to C, so that the learning process for the students will become much easier. And then by subscribing to Unacademy, you will get unlimited access to videos concerned with the examination that you are subscribing for. For instance, if you are subscribed for UPSC examination, you will get unlimited access to videos concerned with UPSC examination. And also, Unacademy serves as a platform where top educators like Aman Sharma, Deepanshu Singh, Ashish Malik, all these top educators, they get to share their knowledge with students who hail from all over India. Okay. Also, Unacademy covers syllabus in a very comprehensive manner. Okay. Now, so that every nook and corner of UP syllabus will be covered by Unacademy. Not only that, the same syllabus will be covered by multiple faculties. So you will be the choice of choosing from whom you want to learn from. So Unacademy gives you the choice of from whom you want to learn from where you want to learn from, and also at what time you want to learn from. So with Unacademy, the power is getting transferred from the coaching institutions to the students concerned. So students will hold all the power when it comes to Unacademy. So that's why many people are calling Unacademy as a kind of educational revolution. Now, I suggest you guys download Unacademy Learning app if you are planning to learn via Unacademy, please, because via Unacademy Learning app, you can keep track of your learning goals, how much time you are spending with Unacademy, all those things. Not only that, if your favorite teacher is about to take a class via Unacademy, you will get notifications via Unacademy Learning app. Now these are the amounts charged by Unacademy for plus subscription. Now these amounts are very less compared to offline institutions where you'll be spending upwards of 4 to 5 lakh rupees on things like fees, food, rent. But with Unacademy you won't be spending a dime on either food or rent because you'll be studying from your home itself. And also the fee part is also very less compared to any other institution in India. Okay. Now on top of that, if you're using my code Aravind V, you will get 10% as offer. You'll get 10% as offer. So instead of paying 44,000 rupees, you'll be paying only 39,600 rupees. Now even for iconic platform, you'll be paying if you're using my code Aravind V, you will get 10% as offer. So instead of paying 64,000 rupees, you'll be paying only 57,600 rupees. So guys, if you are planning to subscribe to Unacademy, please don't forget to use my code Aravind V, okay, so that you will get 10% as offer. Okay. Now let's move to today's class. Now give me a moment here. I will open the document. Okay, so give me a moment here. Okay, see everyone, in today's class we are going to study about elections. We are going to study about different types of elections. In our last class we touched some important things about different types of elections. I will start I will start from the previous class. So when we talk about elections, there are two broad types of elections. There are many types of elections, but for our studying purposes, we cannot discuss each and every different type of elections. But our for UPSC preparation, we will discuss only two broad types of elections which are being used in the world right now. Now, the first type of elections that we will be discussing is single member constituency system. The first type of election that we will be discussing is single member constituency system or first past the post system. Okay, single member constituency system or first past the post system. Now the next type of election system that we will be discussing today is proportional representation system. Okay, so as I mentioned before, when we talk about elections, there are different types of elections, but for our UPSC examination purposes, we will be discussing only important different types of elections. Only we will be discussing the important types of elections. Okay, now in this here we will discuss the differences between first past the post system as well as proportional representation. Now, in case of first past the post system, if there is a constituency, for example, if there is a constituency A, now this constituency, whenever this constituency is selecting for a member, this constituency will be called as electoral college. So, in first past the post system, a electoral college will elect only one member. A electoral college will elect only one member per one electoral college. Okay. So, in first past the post system or single member constituency, only one member is selected. Only one member is elected for one electoral college. Okay, for one electoral college, only one member is elected. But in case of proportional representation system, what happens is that if there is an electoral college, okay, if there is an electoral college, this electoral college can elect either one member or it can elect more than one member. Okay, this electoral college in proportional representation system, it can elect one member or more than one member. Okay, so in proportional representation, one or more members are elected from electoral college. One or more members are elected from electoral college. All right. Now the next one is that, now what is the majority required for winning elections via FD/FP post? Here, FP TP post. Now, in case of first past the post system, now take a constituency. Take a constituency A. There are in this constituency there are 4 political parties A, B, C, and D. Now, in this constituency, in this electoral college, there are 100 votes. Now, A is getting 21 votes, B is getting 20 votes, C is getting 20 votes, and then D is getting 90 votes. So, out of 80 votes, now not 100 votes, there are out of 80 votes, A is getting 21 votes, B is getting 20 votes, C is getting 20 votes, and D is getting 19 votes. Now, in this election system, who will get elected? Who will get elected? The person who is getting the relative majority. The person A is the one who is getting elected. So the person who is getting the relative majority will get elected. So the majority required to win a first past the post election system is relative majority. It is relative majority. Now, in case of proportional representation system, the majority required to win the election is quota of votes. The majority required to win an election is quota of votes. Now, this quota of vote, okay, in Lakshmikant book and all, in proportional representation system, they will say that absolute majority is required to win proportional representation system. It is completely wrong. Quota of votes is required to win elections via proportional representation system. Now, I'll explain what is this quota of votes. I'll explain later on what is this quota of votes. Okay. Now let's take a look at deeply about first past the post system. Let's take a look at deeply about first past the post system. See here, in first past the post system, there is an electoral college. Now in this electoral college, we have a political party A, political party B, political party C, and political party D. Now this political party A, it is represented by higher caste. This political party A is completely represented by higher caste. Now political party B as well as C, they are represented by OBCs. Now political party D, they are represented by scheduled caste as well as scheduled tribes. Now see here, in a particular constituency, higher caste, the number of higher caste is greater than that of OBC, and OBC population is greater than that of scheduled caste as well as scheduled tribe population. Okay. Now higher caste, or in a particular village X, higher caste number are around 100. Higher caste voters are around 100. Now OBC voters are around 200. Not 200, 150. Take 150. And the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe population is around 60. Okay. Now, in this case, in this election, what is happening is that in a particular election, the political party A got 100 votes. The political party A got 100 votes. B got 80 votes. C got 70 votes, and D got 60 votes. Okay. Now, in this case, who gets elected? The political party A. The political party A gets elected. Now, even though the political party A is getting elected, do you think this political party A is getting represented by OBC as well as scheduled caste and scheduled tribe? The political party A, they are winning these elections by getting the support from higher caste population. Now, do you think that in case if they are implementing any plan, do you think they will take the interest of OBCs as well as scheduled caste and scheduled tribe? Do you think they will do that? They won't do that, right? So that's a problem here. If you look at most of the constituencies in India, the population of scheduled caste as well as scheduled tribe is in minority, and there are not many political parties which represent scheduled caste as well as scheduled tribe. So that is the first disadvantage with first past the post system. That is the first disadvantage of first past the post system. Okay, the first disadvantage is that it is against the interest of minorities. It is against the interest of minority. It is against the interest of minorities. Now, as I mentioned before, A is getting representation only from, okay, A is winning the election only on the basis of votes that is getting from higher caste. But for all practical purposes, A is the representative for the entire village X. Even though this person A is getting elected only by getting the support from higher caste, this person A is the representative of the entire electoral college X. Now, do you think it is the correct representation? Do you think the representation is here is done correctly? It is not done correctly, right? So the representation, okay, in case of representation in first past the post system, the representation is not representing the actual people. There is no representation from majority of the people. Majority of people. See here, out of how many people are there in this particular village? Around 310 people are there. Around out of these 310 people, only 100 people have voted for this political party A. Now the rest 210 people did not vote for this political party. So majority of the members did not vote for this political party, but this party A is getting represented for this entire constituency X nonetheless. So it skews the representation in favor of dominant communities. It goes against the interests of many minorities. Okay, so the representation is not it will not be from the majority of the people in case of first past the post system. Now the third major problem is that, okay, see here, out of this 310 votes, only 100 votes are being counted. Only 100 votes are being counted. The rest 210 votes are getting wasted. They don't serve any purpose at all. Okay, so that's another disadvantage with first past the post system. There is a lot of wastage of votes. There is a lot of wastage of votes. Okay. Now these are the disadvantages of first past the post system. These are the disadvantages of first past the vote system. First past the post system. Next we will discuss advantages. Advantages of first past the post system. See, the first past the post system, even though it does not represent the interest of minorities, it is very easy to understand. It is very easy to understand. See, one of the main reason why first past the post system was adopted, because during 1952, during 1951, when the first election was conducted, the literacy rate in the entire country was around 15 to 17%. The literacy rate was around 15 to 17%. Indians, they were very uneducated. Now, do you think if we were to introduce proportional representation system where we have complex process of selecting our choice, all those things, do you think it is very easy for the people to understand? When this much population are illiterate, do you think Indian government will go to each and every constituency and they have to explain proportional representation system to each and every one of them? Even though they are explaining, do you think each and every individual will understand proportional representation system? They cannot understand, right? So that's why we adopted first past the post system, because it is very easy to understand. So what happens in first past the post system? There will be a ballot paper or EVM machine. In this EVM machine, there will be the candidate name as well as political party symbol displayed. You will go to the voting booth and you will just cast your vote. You just click the button or you will cast your vote. It is as simple as that. Okay, it is very easy to understand. The next one is that first past the post system is very cost efficient. It is very cost efficient, unlike other election methods. It is very cost efficient. Okay. Now give me a moment here. Okay, so this is cost efficient. Okay, so these are the advantages. Okay, so I've explained everything about first past the post system, everyone. I've explained everything about first past the post system, how it works, and what are the advantages as well as disadvantages of first past the post system. Now let's take a look at proportional representation system. Okay. Now in case of proportional representation system, I've explained, right? They are elected by means of quota of votes. They are elected by means of having quota of votes, right? So now what is this quota of votes? Now see here, there is a formula for calculating quota of votes. There is a formula for calculating quota of votes. Okay, now this is a short form for quota of votes. Now there is a formula for calculating this quota of votes. According to this formula, total number of votes polled divided by total number of members to be elected plus 1 and then the entirety plus 1. Okay, so the formula for calculating this quota of votes is total number of votes polled divided by total number of members to be elected plus 1 and then plus 1. For instance, take a constituency A. Now in this constituency A there are 100 voters. Okay, within this 100 voters we have to elect 2 members. We have to elect 1 member. Take the case of electing 1 member. We are going to elect 1 member. So what is the total number of votes polled? 100. So how many members we have to elect? 1 member. Okay, so plus 1 and then plus 1. So what is the quota of votes required in this case? 51. But out of this constituency A, if we were to elect 2 members, what will be the formula here? How will it change? 100 divided by number of members is 2 plus 1 plus 1. So how much is it? 100 divided by 3 plus 1, how much is it? 33.1. Okay, the majority required will be, quota of votes required will be around 35. Okay, now if 3 members were to be elected from this constituency A, what will be the formula? 100 divided by 3 plus 1 plus 1. What will be the quota of votes? So it's around 26. So quota of vote means that there is a certain quota. If a person gets certain quota, he will be elected. If a person gets certain quota, he will be elected. So I will give you one real life example. Now take the case. This is Kerala. Now ordinarily in India we conduct state legislative assembly election via which system? First past the post system. Now consider in Kerala we are going to conduct elections via proportional representation system. Now in Kerala, how many? Assume that there are around 100 seats, 100 state legislative assembly states, and there are around 1 lakh electors in Kerala. So okay, so out of this 100 seats, out of this 1 lakh votes, the party A got around 30,000 votes. Party A got around 30,000 votes. Party B got around 20,000 votes. Okay. Party C got around 10,000 votes, and Party D got around 10,000 votes. Go on, so on and so forth. So based on proportional representation system, the Party A will be allocated 30% of the seats, around 30 seats. Party B will be allocated with 20% of the seats, that is 20 seats. Okay, and Party C will be allocated with 10 seats. Party D will be allocated with 10 seats. Okay, so that's how proportional representation system will work. Okay, so what is the quota of vote required to win an election, to win a seat in Kerala? It is 1 lakh divided by 100 plus 1 plus 1. Okay, now assume this is 99. Assume this is 99. Okay, so 99 plus 1. So what will be the here? 100,000 plus 1. So if a person gets 1,001 votes, if a person is getting 1,001 votes, he will get elected to the seat of Kerala State Legislative Assembly. Okay. Ordinarily, if a person is getting 1,001 votes, okay, do you think via first past the post system, do you think he will get elected? No, right? Why? Because these 1,001 votes will be scattered between various constituencies. Okay, so in each constituency, you will get around some 50 to 60 votes. This will not be enough to win an election in a particular constituency. So, in via proportional representation system, these minority voters will be represented in a much better manner. Okay. Now, within this proportional representation system itself, there are two types of proportional representation system. One is list system. And another one is single transferable vote. Okay, there are two types of proportional representation system, everyone. One is list system and another one is single transferable vote. Now, before moving on discussing these different types of proportional representation system, now if you have any doubts so far, please ask your doubts, everyone. Please ask your doubts. Okay, so far I have explained how quota votes works for proportional representation system and how first past the post system works. All these things I have explained right now. So if you have any doubts, please ask your doubts. I will give you 1 minute to ask your doubts. Okay. People, please ask your doubts. If you have any doubts, please ask your doubts. Okay. Or else I am moving on to the next part. I will explain the differences, various different proportional representation systems. Okay. Okay. See here, since no one is asking doubts, I will move on to the next part. I will move on to the next part. Now, in this proportional representation system, first we will discuss list system. First we will discuss list system. First we will discuss list system. List system. Okay. Now we will compare this list system with first past the post system. We will compare this list system with first past the post system. Now the first thing is that in case of first past the post system, who are you voting for? In case of your state legislative assembly election as well as MP election, who are you voting for? You are voting for members. You are voting for members. You'll be voting for members. Okay. Now give me a moment. You'll be voting for members. But in case of list system, who do you think you'll be voting for? Who do you think you'll be voting for? Okay. Now the first fundamental difference is that now assume this as Tamil Nadu. In first past the post system, this Tamil Nadu will be divided into various constituencies. In first past the post system, Tamil Nadu will be divided into various constituencies. But in case of list system, the entire Tamil Nadu will be considered as one constituency. The entire Tamil Nadu will be considered as one constituency. So this is how Tamil Nadu will be demarcated based on these two systems. Now, in case of list system, instead of voting for members, since there is no constituency, who will you be voting for? The person's members, electors will be voting for. They will be voting for political parties. They will be voting for political parties. Okay, they will be voting for political parties. Now, if you think that if you are voting for political parties, how do you think members are getting chosen for state legislative assemblies? Here we are voting for members, so it is very easy for you to know which member is going to become MLA and who is not going to become MLA. But in case if you are voting for political parties, how do you think which MLA is getting elected? See here, in list system, we will be voting for political parties. For example, if AIADMK in Tamil Nadu is getting 30% of the votes, out of, for instance, if Tamil Nadu has 300 seats, ADMK will be allotted with 100 seats. Okay, ADMK will be allotted with 100 seats. Okay, now whenever you are voting in a system under list system, you will be given with a lengthy document. In that lengthy document, AIADMK will select 300 persons. It will give the list of 300 persons whom they think that they are going to become state legislative assembly members. So instead of people voting for members in list system, political parties will give the list of members. They will select which members are going to become MLAs. Okay, you will be merely voting for the political party. After this political party coming into power, out of this 300 members, ADMK will be selecting 100 members. It will be the choice of ADMK to select this 100 members. So that's a main difference. Okay, that's a main difference. Here you will be voting for the members of a political party. Here you will be voting for the political parties. Okay. Now I will give you one scenario. Now take the case of 2014 elections. Take the case of 2014 elections. Okay, now not 2014 elections. Take the case of 2019. Give me a moment. There was a VPN connected. That's why. Sorry. Okay, see here everyone, in 2019, BJP got around 49% vote share and Congress got around 26% vote share. But what was the final vote tally? What was the final seat tally? Even though BJP got only 44% of the seat, 44% of the votes, what was the final seat share of BJP? How many seats did BJP get? Can anyone tell me? Give me a moment here. Okay, so even though BJP got only 44% of the votes, they got around 303 votes. Okay, even though they got only 44% of the votes, they got 303 votes. So they got around 60% of the votes, even though they got less than 50% of the votes. So that's what happens in first past the post system. Okay, but if there is a list system, what will happen? Out of 545 votes, BJP will get only 40% of the votes. So, how much is that? It will be around 54 into 4. BJP will get only 220 seats, not 303 seats. Okay, so that's how list system will work. In list system, each political party will get amount of seats in proportion to their vote share. But in case of first past the post system, a political party will get seats based on their turnout. Now in 2014 elections, we will compare. I will give you the vote share for 2014 elections. Now in 2014 elections, BJP got 31% vote share. Congress got 19% vote share. Okay, a Communist Party got around 8% of vote share. AAADMK, they got only 2% of vote share. Now, in first past the post system, this is actual scenario. In first past the post system, BJP got 282 seats. Congress got how many seats? Only 44 seats. Communist Party of India got only 4 seats. AAADMK got around 39 seats. Because most of their 2% votes they came from a single state of Tamil Nadu. Okay, but in list system, how will the seats be given? BJP will get around 30%, means around 165 seats. BJP will get around 170 seats. Congress will get around how many seats? 105 seats. Communist Party will get around 47 to 48 seats. ADMK will only get around 10 seats. Okay, so this is how there will be a vast difference between seat sharing between first past the post system as well as proportional representation system. Okay, now let's so I have explained how proportional representation system and this proportional representation system list system works. How this list system in proportional representation system works. I have explained that. Now let's discuss what are the advantages as well as disadvantages of this proportional representation system. The first one is advantages. What are the advantages? What are the advantages? The first advantage is that it is very inclusive. It is very inclusive. It is very inclusive. It represents the all interests of minority parties. For instance, scheduled caste as well as scheduled tribes. They don't have. They have the party which represents them is BSP. Now, ideally, BSP they get around 15% of vote share in every throughout the country. Ideally, they get around 15% vote share from all the throughout the country, but they usually get around only 5 to 10 seats. Even though they have vote share, even though 15% of people are voting for BSP, they get only 5 to 10 seats in Lok Sabha. But in list system, they will be getting around how many seats? They will be getting around 70 seats. Okay, which will be very huge. Okay, it adequately represents minority interests in Parliament. I'm not saying that BSP they are actually looking out for the interests of minority. No, normally, SC, scheduled caste and scheduled tribe population, they vote for BSP. That's a trend. Okay. So this proportional representation system, it will be more inclusive compared to first past the post system. And the second one is that there will be no wastage of votes. There will be no wastage of votes. Now, what are the disadvantages? What are the disadvantages of first past the post system? What are the first disadvantages of first past the post system? The first one is that there's a vast gap between people as well as representatives. There will be a vast gap between people as well as representatives in first past the post system. Why? Because in case of first proportional representative system, an MP is not representing any constituency. If this MP is not performing well, in first past the post system, this constituency, they will vote out this MP. They can vote out this MP. But in case of proportional representation system, take the case of a political party person A. Now this person A indulged in various corruption scams. Now if this person A is contesting in elections via first past the post system, what will happen? People will vote out this person A. But under proportional representation system, who will elect this person A? Political parties. Okay, so the gap between people as well as representatives will become wider and wider. As a result of that, even more corrupt people can come into Parliament. If political parties are given the free reign of choosing their own members in state legislative assembly, who will they choose? Persons who is going to bring most amount of money to their political party. Those are the persons who are going to get selected. Okay, so there will be a major gap between people as well as representatives in proportional representation system. Now the second disadvantage in proportional representation system is that the voting procedure is very complex. Now the third disadvantage is that, see here, in first past the post system, I have given you the vote share in 2014 elections. Here we are getting a decisive majority. Even though only 31% of people voted for BJP. Now, in proportional representation system, what is happening here? The seats are getting fragmented between various political parties. Number of political parties. So, what will it create? The political parties will become too fragmented. The seats will become too fragmented. As a result of that, instability in government will increase. Okay. Now the fourth disadvantage is that the proportional representation system will be too divisive. It will be too divisive. It will be too divisive. Okay. Now give me a moment here. Next. Now so far we have discussed list system. So far we have discussed list system. Now next we will discuss single transferable vote. Now if you have any doubts so far, please ask your doubts. If you have any doubts so far, please ask your doubts. Please ask your doubts, everyone. Okay, I will give you 2 minutes to ask your doubts. After that, I am moving on to the next type of proportional representation system called a single transferable vote. Next, we will discuss single transferable vote. See here, in single transferable vote, take for example this constituency A. Take the example of constituency A. Now in this constituency A, 4 members are standing in election. 4 members are standing in elections. X, Y, Z, S. X, Y, Z, S. These 4 members are standing in elections. Now in this constituency A, there are around 100 voters. Now in single transferable vote, each voter will be given a ballot paper. In this ballot paper, they have to mark their preference. First preference, second preference, third preference, and then fourth preference. Okay. So the first preference he has to mark. Okay. He will mark as A. Sorry, he will mark first preference as Y, Z, S, and then X. Second voter, he will also given a ballot paper. Here also he has to mark his preference. Okay. So on and so forth. For 100 voters, this ballot paper will be given, and all these 100 voters, they have to mark their preference. Okay. Now in single transferable vote, there will be series of countings. Now in first counting, first they will what will they do is that they will count the first preference votes of all the ballot papers. Now in first counting, assume that A got around 30 votes. B got around 20 votes. C got around 40 votes. D got around X got around 30 votes. Y got around 20 votes. Z got around 40 votes, and then S got around only 10 votes. Okay. Now since no one has absolute majority, what is absolute majority required to win this election in constituency A? It is 51 votes, right? See, since no one is getting this absolute majority, what will happen is that the votes of the least voters, that is the votes of the person, the votes of the candidate yes will be disqualified. The votes of this candidate yes will be disqualified, and the second preference of the voter yes will be transferred. Okay, the second preference, right? What will happen? During this ballot paper, they will mark yes, and then they will also mark their second preference, right? They will also mark their second preference. Now, the second preference of persons who have voted for yes will be transferred to each member. Okay, so on and so forth. In second counting will happen. In the second counting, the yes will be disqualified, and second preference of this voter yes will be transferred to other members. Now even here, if no member is getting majority, in the next counting, the member Y will be disqualified, and the second preference of voters Y will be transferred to both X as well as Z. So by this method, by this transfer of votes between various members, majority will be arrived. Okay, as soon as a person crosses this 51 votes, they'll be declared as winners via single transferable vote. Okay, so that's what happens in single transferable vote. A voter has to choose preference amongst various candidates. Now, based on their preferences, a series of countings will be conducted until absolute majority can be attained. Okay, so this is how single transferable vote is carried out. Now, in India, single transferable vote is used for conducting elections for president as well as vice president. Okay, single transferable vote, proportional representative system, where single transferable vote is used for the election of president as well as vice president. Okay. Now, so far I've discussed what are the different election systems. Okay, so far I've discussed what are the different election systems for conducting elections for Lok Sabha. Okay, now next we will discuss election disputes. Next we will discuss election disputes. Next we will discuss election disputes. Now, in election disputes, according to Article 329, whenever there is a dispute in elections to the election of Lok Sabha, an election petition has to be filed before such authority. It has to be filed before such authority determined by a law of parliament. Okay. Now, using this provision, Parliament has passed Representation of People Act 1951. So, this Representation of People Act 1951 has given the power, has chosen this authority as High Court. So, if there is a dispute regarding Lok Sabha elections, an election petition has to be filed before respective High Courts. Okay. Okay, so that's it with regards to elections. Next, we will discuss what are the special powers of Lok Sabha. Special powers of Lok Sabha. Now, in case of special powers of Lok Sabha, special power of Lok Sabha will be enjoyed with respect to money bills. Lok Sabha enjoys special power with respect to money bills. Now, in money bills, Lok Sabha enjoys two kinds of special powers. One, in its introduction. Money bill can be introduced only in Lok Sabha, not in Rajya Sabha. So, with respect to introduction itself, Lok Sabha will enjoy more power compared to Rajya Sabha, and even in passage, Lok Sabha has greater power compared to Rajya Sabha. Okay, if Rajya Sabha is not passing a bill within 14 days, that money bill will be deemed as passed, and there is no need for Lok Sabha to accept the amendments proposed by Rajya Sabha. So the power of Lok Sabha is greater than that of Rajya Sabha with respect to money bills. One, in introduction as well as passage. Now the next special power of Lok Sabha will be with respect to no confidence motion. Now this no confidence motion, it can be passed only in Lok Sabha, it cannot be passed in Rajya Sabha. Why? Because Council of Ministers, they are collectively responsible only to Lok Sabha, not to Rajya Sabha. They are collectively responsible to Lok Sabha, not Rajya Sabha. Now the next one is with respect to censure motion. Lok Sabha enjoys some special powers compared to Rajya Sabha with respect to censure motion, adjournment motion as well as confidence motions. Okay. Now the fourth one is with respect to special sessions of Lok Sabha for discontinuation of national emergency with respect to the special session of Lok Sabha with respect to discontinuation of national emergency. So these are the four instances where Lok Sabha enjoys considerable special powers compared to Rajya Sabha. Okay, since how like similarly how Rajya Sabha enjoys some special powers compared to Lok Sabha also enjoys some special powers. So all these special powers are these four special powers. Okay. Now next we will discuss the tenure. Next we will discuss the tenure of Lok Sabha. The tenure of Lok Sabha. Now the tenure of ordinarily the tenure of Lok Sabha will be for 5 years. Ordinarily the tenure of Lok Sabha will be for 5 years. Ordinarily the tenure of Lok Sabha will be for 5 years. But during some circumstances, certain circumstances, the Lok Sabha term can be extended for another 1 year. It can be extended for another 1 year. Now, what are the circumstances during the implementation? If there is a national emergency at place, Parliament can pass a law. Parliament can pass a law extending the term of Lok Sabha. Why? Because during national emergency, what will happen? India will be fighting war with other countries. For example, India is fighting war with Pakistan in the state of Rajasthan. If Rajasthan state is at war, do you think elections will be conducted in the state of Rajasthan? It is not possible, right? So that's why the term of Parliament can be extended up to 1 year based on law passed by the Parliament during national emergency. Okay. Now the next one is that now the third provision with respect to tenure is that even before the expiry, for example, this is the date where the new Lok Sabha members take up oath, and then this is the date where their term is getting expired. Now, even before the expiry of the term of Lok Sabha members, elections will be carried out. Elections should be carried out. Now, the new members, after the expiry of the old members, they should take oath. They should take oath within 6 months. Within 6 months. Okay, within 6 months. Why? Why is this? Why the term 6 months? On the expiry of the old Lok Sabha members, within 6 months, the new members must take their oath. Why the 6 months? Because according to Article 88, the maximum time difference between two parliamentary sessions must be 6 months. So that's why the time frame between the oath as well as expiry should be 6 months. Okay. Now the fourth provision is that even though the life of Lok Sabha will be 5 years, Lok Sabha can be dissolved even before the expiry of 5 years via Lok Sabha can be dissolved prematurely. Lok Sabha can be dissolved prematurely even before the expiry of 5 years. In case of Rajya Sabha cannot be dissolved. It is a permanent body. Whereas in case of Lok Sabha, it can be dissolved prematurely. Now, who can dissolve this Lok Sabha prematurely? President. President is the one who can dissolve Lok Sabha prematurely on the aid and advice of Prime Minister plus Council of Ministers. Prime Minister plus Council of Ministers. Now, as soon as Lok Sabha is getting dissolved, the Prime Minister plus Council of Ministers will be disbanded. They also will be disbanded. So that's it, everyone. So that's it. We have discussed all about. Okay, we have discussed the structure of. In the first class itself, I have just said now. In this class, we will discuss the structure of Parliament. First, we will discuss the structure of both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, and then we will discuss the functions. Okay, and then we will discuss the functions of Parliament. Now, so far we have discussed the structure part. In these 3 classes we have discussed the structure of both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha successfully. Now, next we have to discuss functions of both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. We have to discuss the functions of both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Now, before discussing functions, we have to discuss yet another matter. Called as disqualification of MPs. We have to discuss disqualification of MPs. Before discussing functions of Parliament, we will discuss disqualification of MPs. Now, when we talk about disqualification of when we talk about disqualification of MPs, this disqualification will apply for both for being a member as MP, for being a member as member of Parliament, plus for also to contest future elections. Okay, when we talk about disqualifications in this class, we are not only discussing for being a member as a member of Parliament. Also, we will be discussing about disqualification from contesting in future elections. Okay. Now, when we talk about disqualifications, now disqualification is given in Article 202. Sorry, Article 102. Disqualification is given in Article 102. Now, according to Article 102, there are three ways. There are three ways based on which a member can be disqualified. There are three ways based on which an MP can be disqualified. What are those three ways? One is based on grounds mentioned in Article 102 itself. So based on grounds mentioned in Article 102 itself. So now what are those grounds? What are those grounds mentioned in Article 102? The first one is office of profit. Now I explain this. What is this office of profit in our president class? So one is office of profit. The next one is if is of unsound mind. The next one is, third one is if is undischarged insolvent. Now there is a difference between undischarged as well as discharged. There is a difference between discharged insolvent and undischarged insolvent. This can be a prelims question. Okay, question can be like a discharged insolvent can be a grounds for disqualification under Article 102. This was actually a question, I believe, in prelims question during 1990s. There was a question regarding that. Okay. Now the actual ground is undischarged insolvent. What is the meaning of undischarged insolvent? A court, if a court is declaring a person as insolvent, then that person will be declared as undischarged insolvent. Just by a person having debts towards the Bank of India, you will not be declared as undischarged involvement. Okay, you will not be disqualified. If a person is having any loans pending with the banks and is not repaying those loan back, he will be declared as insolvent. He will be declared as discharged insolvent. Once this bank approaches a court, once a court has given their order, he will be declared as undischarged insolvent. So there is a difference between discharged insolvent and undischarged insolvent. So keep that in mind. Now the fourth provision is that if he is not a citizen of India, So these are the four grounds based on it. So these are the four grounds mentioned in Article 102 itself, based on which a person can be disqualified. Okay, based on which a person can be disqualified. Now the next one is based on law passed by the Parliament. Okay. An MP can be disqualified based on law passed by the Parliament. So this is called as the first one is called as constitutional disqualification based on constitutional grounds. Now the second one, it is called as disqualification based on statutory grounds. Why statutory grounds? Because a law has to be passed by the Parliament to disqualify MP. Okay. Now for example, Representation of People Act 1951. This was passed by the Parliament. This Representation of People Act will contain some grounds regarding disqualification of MPs. Now the next one is this one is very important. It is given in Article 102A. Why? Because it was inserted by 52nd Constitution Amendment Act. It was inserted by 52nd Constitution Amendment Act. Okay. Now according to Article 102A, an MP can be disqualified under grounds mentioned in 10th schedule. Okay, An MP can be disqualified based on grounds mentioned in 10th schedule. What are those grounds? Those grounds are called as anti-defection law. So an MP can be disqualified based on anti-defection law. So that's what is given in Article 102A. Okay. Now, so far we have discussed constitutional grounds. Already discussed constitutional grounds. Now, next we will discuss what are the statutory grounds and then what is anti-defection law. Okay, so these are the two things that we will discuss in the class. For the next half an hour to 45 minutes, we will discuss what are the statutory grounds and what is this anti-defection law. So these are the things that we will discuss next. Okay. Give me a moment here. Now, people, if you have any doubts so far, please ask your doubts. I will try to answer your doubts. Okay. If you have any doubts so far, please ask your doubts. Okay. And I will try to answer your doubts. Now give me a moment there, I'll fetch some water and come, and till then, if you have any doubts, please ask your doubts, okay? Okay. See here. Now next we are going to discuss statutory grounds that are mentioned in Representation of People Act 1951. Now these are the 4 sections under Representation of People Act 1951. These 4 sections deal with disqualification. Now the reason why I am mentioning this section is because not many people are aware of these individual sections. Whenever you are writing your mains answer, if you are writing according to section 8 of RPA, an MP can be disqualified based on following grounds. If you are doing that, you will get this half mark extra in your mains answer. So that's how you will maximize your gains in your mains answer. Okay. If you look at mains answers of various candidates, I'll bet you between 50% of the students, 50% of the students will write the same answer. Okay, 50% of the students will write their same answer. Now, how do you think you can differentiate from the rest of the 50%? How do you think you can differentiate from the rest of the 50%? By giving this individual article numbers, section numbers, by giving some examples, by presenting your answer well, by structuring your answer well, by drawing diagrams. So that's how you will be getting this half mark as well as 1 mark extra for each question. These are very, very important. Okay, when it comes to means, these marginal gains are very, very important. If you are getting 1 mark extra for each question, how many marks extra are you getting? You are getting around 20 marks extra. This will be very, very decisive. Okay, 20 marks extra for 5 papers. How much is it? 100 marks. See, that's how you maximize your gains. Now, there are three statutory grounds. There are three statutory grounds for disqualifications. There are three statutory grounds for disqualification. Okay, the first one is if an MP is according to section 8, according to section 8A, if an MP is getting convicted, if he is getting convicted of any offence, of greater than, if he is getting convicted of any offence greater than 2 years, if he is getting convicted for any offence greater than 2 years, then that MP will be disqualified. Not just disqualified, he cannot contest elections for another 6 years after his release. For example, take the case of Sasikala in Tamil Nadu. This madam got 4 years of imprisonment for corruption. Okay, for corruption. Now she got her conviction in 2016. Now she will be in jail for another 4 years up to 2020. She cannot contest elections till 2026. So she cannot contest elections for almost 10 years. What is 10 years? The term of her conviction as well as another 6 years. This is section 8A. So many people in Tamil Nadu, they should tag this section 8A because that's one of the main reason why Sasikala is not CM of Tamil Nadu. Okay. And another statutory ground is that if any MP fails to dislodge the election expenditure, that will be a ground for disqualification. For example, Election Commission of India, they will prescribe election limit expenditure. They will prescribe the limit for election expenditure for every political party in a particular constituency based on the size of constituency. For example, if a constituency is very big, the Election Commission will prescribe the maximum election expenditure should be 40 lakhs. If the constituency is very small, they will say that the maximum election expenditure should be 20 lakh. Okay. Now all political parties should spend their election expenditure. They should have their election expenditure within this amount. Okay. Now why is that? Why is this election spending limit is there? Mainly because to create a level playing field among various political parties. So that's why this limit on election expenditure is there for various political parties. Now the next one is that the third ground for under RP is that if MP engages in election malpractices, if he engages in election malpractices, if he is engaging in election malpractices, example bribery of voters. This is one election malpractice. If he is engaging in that, what will happen? That MP will be disqualified. Okay. So these are the grounds mentioned in statutory grounds. These are the grounds given in RPA Act of 1951 to disqualify a particular MP. Now, so far we have discussed grounds. In both constitution as well as statutory grounds. Okay, what are the disqualification procedures both given in both the constitution as well as parliamentary law. Okay, now next we have to discuss who will disqualify. Next we have to discuss who will disqualify these MPs based on these grounds. Who will disqualify MPs based on these grounds? Next one. Decision on disqualification for constitutional as well as parliamentary grounds. Okay, for constitution as well as parliamentary grounds. See here everyone, Parliament is the authority. Based on constitution as well as statutory grounds, Parliament, President is authority who can disqualify an MP. President is authority who can disqualify an MP based on Article 103. Based on Article 103, President is authority who can disqualify an MP. Now this is actually a real power of president. This is actually a real power of president, right? Now, do you think president has any real power? President does he have any real power? He doesn't have any real power. President will not take any substantial decisions on his own. Someone has to advise president to disqualify these MPs. Okay. Normally, who do you think will advise president to take any substantial decisions? It will be prime ministers plus council of ministers. Now, what happens if prime minister plus council of ministers are the authority? You are advising president to disqualify MPs. In that case, what will happen? What will be the scenario? The present BJP government, Prime Minister Modi, he will advise president to disqualify Rahul Gandhi on the ground of Rahul Gandhi being of unsound mind. That's what will happen, right? And president has to disqualify because that decision is binding on president. So if president plus council of ministers were the authority to advise president to disqualify MPs, they will disqualify opposition MPs. So to prevent that from happening, prime ministers plus council of ministers will not advise president regarding disqualification. The authority who will advise president for disqualification is Election Commission of India. They are the one who give recommendations to president to disqualify MPs. Now this recommendation is binding upon. President of India. This recommendation is binding upon President of India. Okay. Now similarly, this happens in national level. Similarly, Election Commission of India, they also give recommendations to Governor of India to disqualify members of both State Legislative Assembly as well as State Legislative Council. Okay, so not MLA as well as MLC. Okay. So this is authority who can disqualify based on grounds mentioned in Article 1 or 2 as well as statutory grounds. Okay. Okay. So everyone, did you understand this part? Okay. Disqualification. So far we have discussed constitutional grounds as well as statutory grounds. Okay. If you have understood these two parts, please say so. Or if you have any doubts so far, please say so. I'll give you 1 minute to ask your doubts. After that, we are going to moving on to the next part, that is anti-defection law. In next part, we will be discussing anti-defection law. So if you have any doubts so far, please ask your doubts. Okay. If you have any doubts, please ask your doubts, everyone. Okay, or else I am moving on to the next part, that is anti-defection law. It will take another half an hour. It will take another half an hour to 45 minutes to discuss anti-defection law. So please, if you have any doubts, say ask your doubts. I will give you 1 minute to ask your doubts. Please ask your doubts, everyone. Okay, since no one has asked doubts, I assume that you have understood perfectly. Okay, I'm moving on to the next part. Anti-defection law. Moving on to the next part, anti-defection law. See here, everyone. In anti-defection law, what is the meaning of defection? What is the meaning of defection? Now, defection means disobedience or disloyalty to. Okay, defection means disobedience or disloyalty. Now, in this case, disobedience and disloyalty with respect to whom? Disobedience and disloyalty to political parties. Disobedience and disloyalty to political parties. So, defection is nothing but an MP showing disobedience as well as disloyalty to his political party. Okay, so the purpose of this anti-defection law is to curb this disobedience as well as disloyal attitude towards their own political party. Now, before discussing these various provisions of anti-defection law, this anti-defection law was introduced only in 1985 by 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act. It was introduced by 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act. So this was not originally in the Constitution. Anti-defection law was not originally in the Constitution. So what were the problems? So before 1985, there were problems with respect to defection, right? There were problems with respect to defection. One political party member moving from the political party to another political party. This was happening quite a lot before 1985. So what were the problems associated with defection of MPs? Okay, so that's what we first will discuss. Impact of defection. Impact of defection. Okay. Now I'll give you an example. Okay. Now as of now in Tamil, assume that in Tamil Nadu there are around 200 seats for state legislative assembly. Now out of these 200 seats, ADMK got around 110 seats. DMK has got around 90 seats. Okay. DMK has 90 seats. Out of these 110 seats, okay, ADMK has majority. ADMK has absolute majority. So there is no need for ADMK to get outside support. Okay, they have absolute majority. Now what if DMK using their money power, they bought around 20 MLAs. They bought around 20 MLAs, and these 20 MLAs they are getting defected from ADMK to DMK. Now if anti-defection law is not there, what will happen? Instantly the government will be collapsed. Instantly the government is getting collapsed. So the first impact of defection is that it creates a lot of instability. It creates a lot of instability. Now because of this instability, what will happen? There will be a political crisis. There will be a political crisis in a particular state. Now because of this political crisis as well as instability, what will happen? Frequent elections will take place. Frequent elections will take place. Now because of this frequent election, what will happen? We won't focus on less developmental expenditure will be allocated. Less developmental expenditure will be allocated. Why? Because most of the funds will be allocated towards conducting elections, not towards focusing on developmental programs. So because of that, socio-economic development will be reduced. Socio-economic development in the country will be reduced. Now not only that, because of these frequent elections, what will happen? There will be no continuity in policies. There will be no continuity in policies. Now I'll give you one example. Okay. Now this metro rail in Tamil Nadu, it was introduced in 2009 during DMK period. It was introduced by DMK government. It was introduced in 2009 by DMK government. Now as soon as ADMK got into power in 2011, they wanted to reduce funding allocations to metro rail project, and ADMK government, they were focusing on monorail. Okay. Now even though metro rail went ahead, there were a lot of clamor. There was a lot of push from then Jayalalitha government to cancel the entire metro project. Now think about the amount of expenditure wasted on metro rail planning as well as construction. At that time, there was some amount of construction that was happening in Chennai. Imagine the amount of money that was wasted. Not only that, whenever DMK government is coming to power, the buses will be painted as yellow. The entire state buses will be painted as yellow. Whenever ADMK is coming into power, the buses will be painted as green. This is for 5 years. Every 5 years, the paint of the buses will be changed depending on the color of the political party. Now imagine what will happen if these elections are conducted every 1 year or 2 years. Whatever decision is taken by DMK, it will be immediately reserved by ADMK. So it will be total chaos in the state of Tamil Nadu. Okay, so we will not focus on any developmental expenditure or developmental activities. We will be focusing on undoing whatever previous government did. Okay, so these frequent elections will also create a situation where there will be no continuity in policies. Because of this, what will happen? There will be no developmental expenditure that will be undertaken. Not that just developmental expenditure, developmental projects as well. The next one is the accountability will also reduce. Why is accountability reducing? See here, I am a person A. I am a person A. I am contesting these elections on the manifesto given by BJP. Okay, I am contesting these elections on the manifesto given by BJP. I am getting elected from the people of my constituency based on the fact that I am the member of BJP political party. Okay, so this members they will think that if I am getting elected to political party, sorry, if I am getting elected as an MP, I will implement whatever is promised by in BJP manifesto. Okay, now imagine what will happen. I am defecting to Communist Party of India. Communist Party of India and BJP, they are polar opposite of each other. Their ideology is vastly different. Alright, their ideology is vastly different. Now, even though I am getting elected on the promise that I'll be implementing BJP manifesto, if I am defecting to CPI, what will happen? Accountability is getting reduced, right? I am not accountable to the people of my constituency. So accountability in case of defection will reduce. Now, because of nature of defections, corruption will also increase. Obviously, why? Because most of the MPs as well as MLAs they will be defected to another party based on monetary purposes, not based on actual genuine purposes. Do you think our MPs they are defecting to another party based on ideological reasons? No, they are not defecting based on ideological reasons. They are defecting only for monetary purposes or based on electability, not based on ideological reasons. Okay. Now, if this is frequently happening, if the defections are frequently happening, what will happen? Public will start to lose their faith in democracy. Public will start losing their faith in democracy. Public will start losing their faith in democracy. Why? Because of their loss of faith in democracy, there will be a trust deficit. There will be a trust deficit between the people as well as elected representatives. Why? Because if political party members are frequently defecting from one party to another party, public will immediately lose their faith in MPs. They will lose their faith in the entire system itself. As a result of that, they will lose their faith in democracy itself. So they will not come to vote in elections. For example, for the first time, if India is conducting elections for the first time, and this person A is voting for the first time, he'll be voting to a person X, thinking that this person X is getting represented from Indian National Congress. Now, immediately as soon as this person is defecting to BJP party, this person A will get dissolution. Now, the same thing, this person A, since this person A X is defected to another political party, this person A has voted for another candidate called as Y. Now, this person Y has also defected to BJP. Now, even though the intent of this person is not voting for BJP, he is voting for BJP nonetheless because of defection. So, this person he will lose faith in the entire democratic process itself. So, the next time, what will he do? He will not come to vote itself. Okay, so the public will start to lose their faith in democracy itself, which will create trust deficit between individuals as well as representatives. Okay. So in today's class, that's it, everyone. In today's class, that's it. Okay. In next class, we will discuss in depth about anti-defection laws, various anti-defection laws. In next class, we will discuss in depth about various anti-defection laws. Now, in today's class, I have given some overview about anti-defection law. In next class, I will discuss in depth about anti-defection law. Okay, how anti-defection law operates, what are the disadvantages of having anti-defection law, and what are the views of Supreme Court regarding that, various Supreme Court cases, and what are the recent issues regarding anti-defection law. Now, these things are very important from mains perspective. So, I will discuss these things in next class. Okay, I will discuss in the next class. Now, people, if you have any doubts, okay, I will give you 2 to 3 minutes to ask your doubts. After that, I am going to end this class. So, if you have any doubts so far, please ask your doubts. Everyone. Everyone, if you have any doubts, please ask your doubts. I will give you 2 to 3 minutes to ask your doubts. After that, I am going to end this class. Please everyone, if you have any doubts so far, please ask your doubts, or else I'm going to end this class. Okay. Please everyone, if you have any doubts, please ask your doubts. Okay, in next 1 to 2 minutes, I'm going to end this class. Okay. Okay, everyone. I've given you ample amount of time to ask your doubts. I've given you ample amount of time to ask your doubts. Since no one has asked any doubts, okay, I'm going to end this class. I'm going to end this class. So goodbye, everyone. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow in the part 4 of Parliament. Okay, in next class also I'll be taking Parliament. Tomorrow at 8:30 the class will be there. So please do attend that class also. Goodbye.